Oh my. Oh my.
You are now tuned in to the Revolution Radio Show.
Hey, what it is and what it do. You are officially tuned into the Revolution Radio Show, aka the Revolution Podcast, live on 102.3 FM in the Inland Empire, worldwide, everywhere else on KCAA Radio, as well as on iHeartRadio worldwide. You dig? It is Tuesday, March the 2nd. It is a beautiful day. So as always, I am your boy Jay Love. I'm always joined by my amazingly talented and beautiful co-hosts, Miss Cherie Marlene.
Happy Tuesday, everybody. Hello.
And Miss Melian. How you feeling today?
What's up? I'm feeling great. How you feeling, Jay?
Well, that's an interesting question.
Yeah,
we'll get to
man.
that. We're gonna get to that in a second. Because we got to talk about a few things that because I always have to rant about things that are in the news and the stuff that just to, got me really tripping, whatever. But here's the thing, during the pandemic, one of the biggest shows of the pandemic was not Joe Exotic, but Tiger King. He is Joe Exotic.
Yeah.
So Joe Exotic is trying to get a new trial. How y'all feel about that? Joe Exotic trying to get a new trial. I don't know for what basis, but when you.
But that's what I'm saying. On what?
Well, he just feels that which is funny because it was his show, right? But he feels that the show portrayed him in a bad light, and that he didn't get a fair trial the first time around because people were poisoned, like the jury pool basically was poisoned, right? Because you're supposed to have a fair trial, right? By an impartial jury.
Yeah.
And he said it would, basically like the jury wasn't impartial because they were watching Tiger King. And like originally, like they came to him, right? And then they flipped it on him, right?
Mm-hmm.
Not that he wasn't crazy. Not that he wasn't crazy, but that they flip, because the way the producers did it.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. I just think that, sometimes like
he's feeling very misunderstood.
Yes, because it was his people.
Beyond misunderstood. Have you seen the show, Cherie?
Yes, I have.
That was one of the greatest shows like ever. You know what I mean? Like when the girl got her arm took by the tigers. You see that part?
But she was still really defending him. I appreciated her loyalty.
Tripping on how chill she was. She was chill.
Can we take a moment? Like she was fine. She's like, no, I'm still
that's her boy. That's her boy side, the tomboy masculine side. I'm sorry, but give me my arm back.
No, but she was like, that's just a tiger being a tiger. I'm like.
No.
And still there, if my arm was taken off by a tiger, I'd be like, okay, this obviously wasn't for me.
I think that was the Lord. That was the Lord trying to speak to you. Like, yes, Lord, I hear you.
I got you. Forgive me. Lesson learned.
Come on. You only need the Lord. You got all the armor you need, just.
I feel like the main thing I got for that, though. Sorry, I know you want to move. The main thing I got from that is the other woman, like, legit killed her husband, right? And she's just walking away.
Okay, you gotta say allegedly. Hey, you gotta say allegedly.
Okay,
allegedly. We on the air. Allegedly, right?
Excuse me.
Do you guys think that she killed her?
Yes.
Carol Baskin killed her husband. You know what I mean?
Tell me
she was
a tiger eating a body. Come on, no evidence at all. In a way, psychotic. I don't.
Oh, I definitely believe a tiger ate the body, but the body was gone already before the tiger ate the body, or something like that.
Like there was
yes.
Well, because here's the thing, dude was a wealthy man, right? We know he had girlfriends. Right. We know he loved going. Was it to Brazil? It was someplace. It was Brazil or it was someplace, Colombia or something like that. And he was as that dude, like that dude doesn't just disappear. Like that's not the kind of, like he goes and lives his best life in a tropical place somewhere with a bunch of young girls. He don't, you know what I'm saying? He don't just disappear. Like Carol Baskin is cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs, man. She crazy.
You can tell. And it's hilarious to see two humans that are a little bit off just going at it. Like that's
a little bit off.
I was trying to be nice. But yes.
So yeah, so that's in the news right now. Also, this one right here, because you know me with all of my things, but except this one, I don't know. I'm a little bit because I have a specific perspective on this, right? Which is this. Before I say what I'm gonna talk about,
okay,
I believe that people of a certain age, of a certain generation, right, not to excuse their behavior, but it doesn't shock me or surprise me. Especially if, and I'm going to say this, if white men of a particular age have extremely racist views, because that was the time, like if you're in your 70s and 80s, like I'm saying that, like, or older, because you have to remember, if they were coming up in the 20s, 30s, like that was a very, we'll just say it was a very great time to be a white man in America, right? Because you could do and say whatever you wanted. Because at the time, not just blacks, but like women weren't equal. You know what I'm saying? Like nobody was equal, you know, at that time. So that being said, as of late, I don't know if you heard, but cancel culture is canceling Dr. Seuss. Right?
Really? Yeah. I haven't heard. Why?
And so I had known about this before. I don't know. It's just coming out, but like, okay, Dr. Seuss was a racist. But again, a man of a certain age, like that's my view on it.
Wait though. He's a racist based on what?
Well, he was, but here's the cancellation part is that some of the earliest, like the early on stuff, he had some books on Africa and the depictions, the characterizations were very offensive.
Really?
There was also the use of the N-word, But again, but was normal, but like a lot of it's not even in print anymore. You know what I mean? But like back then that was normal. And again, I'm not excusing it. You know what I mean? But you know, and so the thing is that cancel culture is crazy because even though I don't agree with racism, I am a huge proponent of free speech. And I will fight for anybody to have the right to say whatever they want. Like later on in this conversation, Melian's going to say some crazy things. I might disagree with Melian, but I think she has the right to say whatever crazy things she want to say because this is the United States of America.
Well, wait a minute. Why do you have to labor? Why do you have to label what Melian is going to say as crazy? Why can't she just no. Why can't she just be stating her opinion? Why does it have to be crazy?
Well, I'm just giving an example. I'm giving an example of the fact that
everything that's not Jay's opinion is crazy.
Which is what I was trying to lead to. Thank you, Melian, because I feel like that's not very fair, right? But quickly going back to Dr. Seuss, is it based on an opinion that he is racist, or do we have facts to show the people?
No, we have there's a disclaimer. There's 6 books in question, right? Okay. 6 books that have the early illustrations featured racist imagery, right? Okay. It shouldn't have done that alone. But also Seuss publicly regretted, even though he publicly regretted some of his earlier works, which were comic strips and political cartoons he helped craft during the World War II era, which featured blatantly racist drawings of Black people and Asian people. See, you should have my back on this, Melian. I was just
trying to be your friend right now. He was just trying to be your friend right now. Go ahead.
You know, and so, you know, obviously back then, a lot of the cartoons, if you know anything about like cartoons and comic strips and all that back then, there was a lot of propaganda in them, and they used a lot of really blatantly racist images, blatantly racist like campaigns and wording and whatnot.
But is there any type of racism in like the most popular books that we all know that we're buying our children in kindergarten? Like, is there anything that I've been blind to?
Well, okay, like for example, in Huckleberry Finn, right? It's laced, and Tom Sawyer laced with the N-word, right?
Is that Dr. Seuss?
No.
We're just talking about something else. Okay,
that was part of the story. That was part of the story too, because it
Right,
took place in the South Mississippi.
right, but you don't like one of the main characters in the book. His name is N-word Jim. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that's one
So
of
you're
his.
just talking about historically,
But
period, not necessarily.
yeah,
Dr.
historically
Seuss?
speaking. So that's what I'm
Okay.
saying.
Yeah.
The reason I'm saying I'm not real big on canceling Dr. Seuss
Got it.
is because I think that
Mhm.
everything should, like trust. The Confederate statues gotta go. Anything
Right.
from the Confederate the era they get, like if you go to
Yeah.
Germany, they don't have no Nazi nothing up. I've been to Germany. They don't have nothing Nazi up because guess what? The Nazis lost. So there's nothing Nazi in Germany. The Confederate Army lost. Like that was a Confederate nation. They lost the war. So no, there should be no Confederate nothing up. Maybe in a museum to talk about this war that occurred, because I don't believe in erasing history, right? But there shouldn't be no Confederate statues and Confederate monuments. That's ridiculous, right? So so yes, but okay, so now speaking of Dr. Seuss, like I said, he openly said that he regretted some of his earlier work, right?
Okay.
That after he was commissioned to do, which back then,
Time out.
and
When he
again,
says commissioned to do, what does that
so
mean?
in other words, hired to, like if you were hired to do a comic strip, because he was an illustrator, right?
So he was led
So
to have
right,
specific
so
things to
and
write
back
about.
then it was no big deal to do a racist comic because like
It was based on
those
ignorance and
right,
people
and
just
back,
didn't
I
know
mean, you got to
better.
think about it. There was a famous movie called Birth of a Nation that was about the Ku Klux Klan. That was a blatantly racist movie that was like this giant glorification of what caused the Ku Klux Klan to blow up all over the country. Well, that thing was screened in the White House, right? The president at the time said that this was a masterpiece, a work of art. So that was the nation that that's what I'm saying. So to certain, like when I meet certain gentlemen of a certain age, I don't get surprised if they say things that we might deem inappropriate, right? Or we might deem offensive, because I understand the era they came from. I'm not saying it's okay, but I'm saying I get it. I know where you come from. You know what I mean? I expect that from you. Like, you shock me if you're not like that. I'd be real shocked. Like, you what? You not racist a little bit? Coming from the 1920s? You know, so this whole thing with Dr. Seuss, I think it's a great teachable moment. This could be a great teachable moment where we could say, look, these are things, now that we understand these, we can literally take those pieces that people are trying to hide now and say, look, this was wrong. And this is why it's wrong, right? And I don't know, because I don't know the man. I believe he's passed away. So there's no way of talking to him. But if you look at his work, I would like to believe that, because a lot of it had to do with what people who are different, right? Looking after, I think that maybe he was trying to make amends in his own way, through his art. I don't know. That's just my own personal little theory. But I just think people jumping on this cancel Dr. Seuss thing, for me, I'm not y'all grasping at straws. I'm ready to cancel a lot of things, but not Dr. Seuss.
So wait a minute. Dr. Seuss is or the cancel culture is basing it on like the archives, not necessarily his most popular works. Just they're digging deep and deciding they don't like him based on that.
Correct.
Gotcha.
Right.
Like they went, because here's the thing. I believe,
still like Dr. Seuss.
No, I do too. Because here's the thing, and here's where we got to be careful, right? Because we all have, like, our life is a journey, right? And we all got things in our past, or most of us do, I should say.
Right.
That if you dig far, if you dig far enough, you're gonna find something about everybody that you don't.
You don't even got to dig too far, Yeah.
And so, like, at what point do we say, like, okay, that was whatever 20 years ago, 30? Like, we, hopefully, if we're at all growing a little bit, like, I'm not the same dude today that I was a year ago today. You know what I mean? Like, we should be evolving as people. And even though we should be accountable for the things that we do and say, right? At some point too, there also has to be some kind of measure of grace. That's like, okay, yeah, they did that, but we got to put a lot of things in, like, everything isn't black and white. Like, I just believe there's a lot of shades of gray where it's like, okay, but at that time, this person, okay, for example, the guest we had on yesterday, Jeff Jones, right? If you would have judged Jeff Jones off of 19-year-old Jeff, you might have said, a lot of negative things, right? Okay. You can't judge, I'm not gonna put his age out there, but mature Jeff off of 19-year-old Jeff. You know what I'm saying? Even one of the gentlemen that helped him out, and Scott Storch, right? Scott Storch, one of the biggest producers in the history of music. If you judge Scott Storch off of his cocaine days, you would just think that this dude's just a cokehead.
Okay, but even just based on a milder example, I got married at 18. I think that's insane. My son is 15. I will smack him if he thinks he can get married in 3 years. So that goes across the board. We don't know better till we know better, right? So I think today's society wants to beat everybody up over 20, 30 years ago. And I also think that's a fine line, because I get how it can determine character, but I'm not the same person I was even 5 years ago.
So what's the time limit then? Like a year, 5 years, 5 weeks?
If you have a life-changing moment a year ago and you're completely different, like for example, a lot of my friends have told me, well, yesterday's, I think probably not long enough, but like people have said to me that I have a much more toned down, calm personality, and my younger self was very intense all the time. So there's maturity factors, and we just learned that some of the things that we thought were a big deal weren't. And I don't know, what would you say is a good time frame?
Are you asking me or are you asking Melian?
Both of you guys. What would you say?
I would honestly, I think it's
I don't even know, because you can have a life.
Go ahead, Melian. Okay, I'll jump in then. I think that it should be on a case by case basis. Like that's the thing, is that we're all different. Like
based on experience, right?
Exactly. And so I think that when you just blanket people, that's the problem with cancel culture. Is that cancel culture just like, we don't like that. You know what I mean? Like I say,
away with you, off with your head.
Yeah, like I say really ridiculous things all the time.
And then like everyone
you should have off with your head a long time ago. Sorry, Melian, what'd you say?
Yeah, what did you say, man?
Everyone just starts like agreeing, like, okay, you're canceled. This isn't cool. This is cool. Like, who dictates that? Like, you ain't got the authority, to.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
The majority rules. Like, people are afraid, I feel, to stand on their own too, right? Because it's like, as soon as someone says it, let's all jump on the bandwagon because the finger's not being pointed at me. So that's fine.
And I think it's because we've become so imprisoned by social media culture, and it's based off of the likes, and it's based off of the views,
popularity.
And people are afraid to go against the grain, when the truth is everyone great. Like, think of anyone in history. Anyone, you name anyone in history who we read about today, right? If they made a mark in history so much so that we read about them, that we look them up or whatever, trust me, they went against the grain. And that's what this generation has forgotten, is that like they want to be like everybody else so much. They're like, that's why I love Dave Chappelle, right? And because Dave Chappelle, because like I said, I say all the time, I say ridiculous things, but he's but I've gotten to the point where
he says the ridiculous things. Okay, I just want to make sure it came out of your mouth. I just want to make sure.
No, it's funny.
I love how he felt reprimanded by my facial expression. I didn't need to say anything.
Because even earlier, my wife was telling me, she's like, you laugh at the most inappropriate things.
Betty.
I was like, because I think it's funny. I have a twisted sense of humor. She's like, you can't be like, I almost died. Ha 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 ha.
But you know what? That's a whole other show, because I feel like people that have experienced extreme pain, they deal with it through humor. Because I am one too. I'm like, no, it's cool. When I was a kid, I did this. And everyone's like, how are you laughing about that? I'm like, no, that's fine. I survived. It's fine. We're good.
It's either laugh or cry. You know what I mean? I'm not trying to cry. So I'm bringing up a laugh about it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I'm going to use this as a segue. Speaking of things to laugh about, you know what I mean? I was in the hospital again last night.
That's not laughable. Betty, come check J Love, please. Come check
Here we go. Happy Tuesday to you.
So, right now, this whole year has been this year that has been this constant debate about, I feel good today because maybe I wasn't supposed to be here today, but I'm here. So,
don't say that.
Well, no, I'm just saying, look, it's a beautiful day. I'm here.
Thank you, Nana Green. She says that is not funny. Thank you, Nana Green. It's not funny. So for our listeners out there that don't know, James ended up in the hospital again for chest pain. So please keep him in prayer, because he did have, did we already talk about this?
He had a heart attack.
I had a heart attack.
So please keep him in prayer. And he keeps ending up in the hospital. And it's not funny. And we need our low co-host to be with us. So thank you guys for your prayers.
But it made me think about what we're going to talk about today. And I definitely want y'all to weigh in. Is how do y'all feel on the whole vaccination situation? You know, because for me now,
look how he segues in that though.
You already know he needs the people to follow him, Melian. You already know.
Here's what's crazy. We put all three of us put our polls up, right? We put our individual polls up.
Sure
right?
did. I put polls up for sure. Go ahead.
And here's the crazy part, right? Because listen, I know a lot of people who have gotten COVID. I know several people who have, no jokes, have passed from COVID, right? So I thought for sure my base is going to be down with me because, I'm trying to get my vaccination right now. And I look at my poll.
Know, viewers, what side he's leaning more toward. Continue.
We haven't got there yet, but I'm just saying. So
we did, though.
So I look at my results, and the last time I looked at it, it says 76 to 24 people were against it. And I'm like, come on, people. Come on, people. What's your deal? Why everybody so scared of the vaccination?
It's not about being scared. It's definitely not about. Why can't you say smart?
Come on, conspiracy theories. Come on, conspiracy theories.
So for those of you tuning in, just to
that's always the first thing.
So we're going to give Melian a chance to speak, but for those listeners just tuning in, we have a discussion starting up, apparently nice and fired up. Mr. J-Love is absolutely for the vaccinations. He's nothing wrong with it. Just get it. Let's all be well in life. Get rid of the mask situation. He doesn't want to die. He doesn't want to die. Which is two totally different conversations. I got you, Melian. It's two totally different conversations.
Willy-nilly people with no mask on.
Hold on. And then we've got Melian, who has her own very strong feelings about it and reasoning why we shouldn't. So that is the discussion we're coming into. So because we all get that J-Love feels very strongly on one side, I'd like to hear Melian's point of view first, and then we'll give you a chance to rebuttal. Go ahead, Jay. Go ahead, Melian.
All right. First off, Jay, I love you. This is off love. This has no correlation of me wanting you to survive and surviving that heart attack and then getting a vaccination. That has no correlation or connection with it. If anything, I care for you, and this is why I don't think the vaccine is safe yet. I don't think that look, let me say this off the bat. Not that it's not safe. I said this to you guys before the other day. If you want to get it, get it. Like the flu shot, which, side note, what happened to the flu? I don't know. It doesn't exist anymore. So if you want to get the flu shot, get it. But if you want to, holistically heal, if you want to, pray. I know some people like pray. That's crazy. No, prayer is a big factor. Pray, exercise, eat right, and do what you have to do. I know there's certain things, but this is a flu, it's a flu. I feel like we don't force us to get vaccinated. That's what my whole statement. Let me start it off like that. If you want to do it, that's fine. But to the point where we're gonna have to get vaccinated, that's what I'm against. So let me say that off the bat. And people are saying we don't have to get vaccinated. They're not putting a gun to your head. Eventually it's going to get intense. It's going to get to a point like if you want to go to places, you got to get vaccinated. If you want to work at a certain place, you got to get vaccinated. People thought I was crazy when I told them, I bet you we're going to be more quarantined after 2 weeks. More than 2 weeks, boom, 3 months. I bet you we're gonna get more quarantine after 3 months, boom, 6 months. I bet you they're gonna make us get COVID tests to go to certain places. No, they're not. Like, what the heck? Why would they make us go get tests? And then I bet you they're gonna charge for them tests. No, they're not. If they're gonna make, people are arguing with me. No, they're not. If they're gonna make you get tested, they're gonna pay for it. Boom. You have to get tested to go to Hawaii. Certain places you got to get tested, and I think even in New York or certain places. And then I just the other day experienced to get this job, I had to get tested. I got to pay for it. I got to get tested. No, like I'm telling people, the next thing is gonna happen. They're gonna make people get vaccinated. I'm against that. I said if you want to get vaccinated, shout out to Nana Green. If you want to get vaccinated, that's fine. Do your thing. Like, I'll pray for you. Like, hopefully it doesn't have no long-term effects. I haven't even dived into that yet. COVID-19, which is the virus that we discovered in 2019, or at least is when we were we don't know if it's actually created in 2019, but we have a vaccination now. Woo! Like, Nah, and then we don't even know the side effects. Who knows the side effects 5, 10 years from now? So you know what I mean. So that's just that note. But to the
So
point where they look us
it
get
sounds
it.
like it sounds like Millian's just concerned with the so many unknowns and losing human rights. Like I feel, if I can speak for you, that there's just an agenda behind it as far as a control. Is that accurate?
I mean, that's a big part of it. Nana Green, I apologize. Rest in peace to your people that died and
And this isn't to offend anybody. This conversation is not to offend anybody or to be insensitive to the people that have died of COVID at all.
Hold on, just one more. Another thing is like I said, that side note, there's no more flu. Another thing is like it's literally doctors that came out. They get paid more to write COVID 19 pass away death on their certificates. Like it's a fact. Like that's already one. Two,
okay, hold on. Well, let's be careful to say what things are facts.
No, right? I'm not saying all, but there have been cases, yeah, that they get paid more. Okay, how about this? They get paid more if it's COVID on their death certificate. Not the fact that they label it as COVID, but if it's somebody dies and it's from COVID, they get paid more. So not saying all death certificates.
Okay,
so
that's fine. That's fine.
A fact. So then there have been cases that people literally they died from nothing related to COVID-19. They wrote
can we understand why? Can we understand why there's money for a COVID death?
Can we
go ahead?
Well, go ahead. Finish your part, and then I'm gonna go ahead and
can we try to make sense of why they would why would they write it's a COVID death and it wasn't a COVID death? I understand COVID death.
So to clarify, Melian is right. I've seen two doctors have come forward and nurses have come forward and said,
okay,
they put it on the death certificate when it wasn't in fact COVID. And here's what I will say: there's corruption in everything. Period.
Everything.
That's what I was about to say. So look, here we go. Let me bring some wisdom.
No, shout out to Nana. One last thing. Shout out to Nana Green. No, Nana Green. Shout out to half my family have had COVID and our tests were free. I got you. I had a friend. Her mom literally stood in line. I know that a couple people I know, but this one specifically told me her mom stood in line, get tested. This is what in the beginning, like August, September of last year. It was a long line. They were standing in line, and what's it called? It took like 2 hours, so they left, but they filled out paperwork. Like people were walking around handing them the paperwork. They filled out the paperwork. A week and a half later, the results came and they were positive. That's all I'm saying. Okay, so go ahead. They didn't even take the test. They didn't get a chance to take the test. They filled out paperwork. Right.
So
okay.
Here's what we have to remember. Okay. Much like what Cherie said, there's corruption in everything, right? The reason why there's extra money for COVID on a death certificate is because they have to incentivize in order to do more research on it, because as they try to, things like vaccines and things of that nature and figure out more about this, they need to learn more about it, which means they need to know, who died from it. When did they die from it? What were their symptoms? So that's why they were like, we need to get a record of all of these deaths in order to compile that. Now, obviously, we know that when you're talking about human beings, right? Human beings have a tendency to, if you give them a loophole, they will take that loophole, right? They will find something, right? And I'm not, because here's the thing. I am a black man in America. Okay. If anybody going to be skeptical about this, is black men in America, because we have been the victims of more shenanigans. Yes, I use the old school word shenanigans than any other group on the planet Earth. So I definitely, and I'm with you. I don't believe people should be forced to take a vaccine. That I agree with you. Okay. Yeah. However, when we're talking about what you brought up in terms of to go to Hawaii or to get a job or whatever, here's the truth. We in America are very entitled. We're very spoiled in America. These are first world problems, right? So you don't have to go to Hawaii. You don't have to work that job, right? The reason why the job wants you to get tested is because they now hold a liability. Because if for any reason they don't test you, and then you come and let's just say, just to use a hypothetical, you bring COVID to the workplace, other people get now they're liable because they allowed you. So what you have to understand is you're seeing how corporations work, right? Because at the end of the day, America is a corporation.
How it's working now. Yes. Yeah. I don't think it's to that point. And no, I understand what you're
Right.
talking about, first world problems, but we talked about this
But-
off air, and I might as well. Oh, go ahead.
Okay,
I'll
can
let
I
you
do? You know,
Yeah,
man,
I'll let
let
you
you
do.
get
Yeah,
yours.
yeah. I realize. Yeah, yeah. Let me like go ahead. Do your thing.
Okay. So here's the thing: is that everyone gets so bent up and like, oh, they're gonna force us, they're gonna force us, they're gonna force us, they're gonna force us. No, that it might feel like you're being forced because things that you want to do now require, in the same way that, for example, there was a time in America when you could drive a vehicle, you could drive an automobile, to say how the old folks used to say it, you could drive an automobile without a license. They had to then implement something because you can't just have anybody driving an automobile. So now you're forced, if now you don't have to drive a car, right? Or at least
You're
legally,
talking
because a lot
about
of
a
people.
whole nother thing versus
No, I'm
injecting something in your body. But go ahead
no,
with
what I'm saying is
the
about things that we want to do. There's things that we
no, 'cause
want that
we
are
talked about what if your
luxuries.
cousin's dead, your mom or your brother in Hawaii or New
And
York. This isn't for work, or what if it's not for pleasure all the
Okay,
time,
so
like going
no,
hold
somewhere.
on, James. James, do you think that there is a deeper meaning behind the vaccination, or you think it's simply a
no,
vaccination?
No,
listen,
because they care
I
for us. They want to
No,
make
no,
sure
that's
we're
just
no,
what I want to know.
good.
It's just a
no, no,
simple
no,
question.
no. I listen. I don't
Do
think
you
there's a
think there's
deeper meaning because
so
no,
there's
because
no
here's the
agenda behind the
no.
vaccine?
No, I'm going to tell you why. Well, here's the agenda: is that at the end of the day, yes, we do need to get our economy back. Do they care about us? Do I really think like they care about us? No, I don't think they care about us.
Who's
But
they?
you can't. We'll just say big government. Okay,
Okay.
I don't think the big government cares about us. Okay, I really
Okay.
don't. Okay,
Okay.
because that's evident in other things that other conversations we'll have.
Another
But that
show.
being said, we can't continue to have the downfall of the economy that we have because eventually, yes, right now, it's been a record year for a lot of wealthy people. Eventually, the losses are going to trickle up to them. They need the economy to get back stimulated and get, you know what I mean? And which means the government needs it because what does the government live off of? Our tax money, right? If we ain't working, if we ain't bringing in money, it eventually affects them at the top. So so is it about us? No, I'll be honest
It's
with you
So
on
crazy.
that.
then
You're
if
literally
I
saying
hear
it.
you clearly though, you're saying it's more about an insurance, right? To prevent
Yes.
a liability. Okay. So that's James' point of view.
Okay, so
Melian,
here's what
do
I'm
you,
saying.
go
I
ahead.
mean, James done spent 20 minutes in the beginning talking about other things I want to get. I don't know what you was over here talking about.
No, but
Listen,
Melian, do
because I
you think
want to
that
make.
do you think the injection actually has something that's going to cause a long-term effect on humans, or do you think it's more about conditioning humans to be controlled and it starts with the vaccine?
Both. It's been proven in history that a way they can control us is through fear. I think it's so ironic. It was such a political move. I think it's so ironic. Boom, Biden's here. You know what? Places are starting to really loosen up on it. Like it's so ironic. The how it's like the virus is magically kind of disappearing or whatever, or let's get these vaccines. They planned it out so subtly, so
Okay, but do you
smoothly.
think
If
that
they gave
there's
it to us,
something specific?
no. If they gave it to us how they were gonna give how it's
So
all is right now at once, we would have freaked out. But subtly, let's just make certain people be able to access it. Boom, let's make it okay. Eventually, maybe at the end of March, April, certain people are gonna access it. Like they make us want to get it. Like it's been.
So
I
what do
sound
you
crazy.
think is
Like
your
I told
biggest
you,
no, you don't sound crazy. What is the biggest thing or your biggest concern of what's actually in the vaccination and how it's going to affect people? Do you have a
my
thought on
thing.
that?
I just had actually a shout out to Miss Jones. I'm blanking out on her name right now. I just spoke to her earlier today. Tiffany Jones. She's running for a senator. She said ballot 30 or something. Shout out to Miss Tiffany Jones. But she was talking about how because I was asking her on the topic, and she was kind of in the middle, but she was like, I need them to make people more aware of what's in the vaccination, and I'm against them forcing it. She was like saying, but people, they do need to know what's in it. So you know what I mean? Like I said, if you want to get it, I said at the beginning of get it, but I think
But based on your opinion, what do you think the concern is that's in the vaccine that's going to affect people? And obviously it's an opinion because none of us have the actual facts to it, but based on your thoughts, because you've been right this whole time, according to what you're saying, right? So what is that?
Okay.
What is in it?
I mean, I have a lot of Christian friends. Shout out to my Christian friends out there. They think it's the mark of the beast. I don't personally 100% yet agree. Look, some people have you heard that, Cherie? Some people saying it's the mark of the beast.
I gotta jump on that one.
Nowadays,
Listen, to all my Christian folks, let me just say this. This is not the mark of the beast. Do y'all read your Bible at all? Like, this ain't got nothing to do with the mark of the beast. First of all, the mark of the beast is something that you will do willingly.
Okay, see, I probably shouldn't have threw that in, but I did say some people. I didn't say me. I said some people.
I said that's why. If there's people out there, let me, you know what I mean. Let me get your theology correct. For those people out there who think this, first of all, the mark of the beast is in correlation with you signing up to whatever it is to move under this specific regime that will be quote unquote the Antichrist, right? It's not you're going to get bamboozled like, we got you with the mark of the beast. Is you're saying like, no, I gladly, willingly, and from a sober mind, take this mark, whatever it is. Take this mark to follow this individual. That's what it's not. They ain't gonna sneak it on you. That's not how it works. I'm just saying theologically. I'm saying, you know, I know people got other things, but I'm just saying, get your theology. Your boys, you know what I mean? Y'all want to go there with me? Holler at your boy. We can have them conversations too. So is it the mark of the beast? No, go ahead.
But you know what? I'm glad you brought this up because, and I'm glad that you addressed it because that might be a concern for most people out there, and they're just confused, and maybe they're not brushed up on their theology. So I don't think you're wrong for bringing it up, Million.
Right.
No, and let me say one more thing too. It ain't got 5G. Look, if the government want to track you, they already got ways of tracking you. Your cell phone, we give them all the information what they want on Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, Twitter. They got all our information. Everybody act like you so special, like, oh, the government want to read my mind. Nobody want to read your mind. Nobody care. You know what I mean? You gave them everything.
First of all, they already read
shout
our
out to
mind.
Diva. My mom just said that today. What'd she say? On my Instagram live, VH1 Melion. Shout out to Diva. She said my mom just said that today. What'd your mom say? That it was what'd she say though? Anyway, so yeah. No, okay, so back to that. We were talking about
they're already reading our mind. I think about having sushi and a bunch of ads on my Facebook pop up with sushi. So they're already in it.
Exactly. So they don't need to inject nothing.
They're already in it.
It's in movies, so why can't it be real? I wouldn't be surprised if there are microchips or whatever in these vaccines and then they need 2 doses. Like, you know what I mean? Just I wouldn't be surprised. Look, I got some friends. I ain't gonna name nobody. They were in jail, and this is real life happened to them. They were literally tested. Like they said, everybody got these like quote unquote. They had to take these shots, quote unquote. They were like flu shots, but everybody you couldn't deny it, whatever. Next thing you know, like low key, everybody's feeling like an animal, like a beat, like, and then literally they were like saying they felt like it didn't feel like themselves, and they would talk amongst each other like stuff like that, like telling like, yo, I've been.
But you know what that
angry,
goes back to? That goes back to prison reform. That goes back to the 13th Amendment that says that no person can be a slave except for if they're convicted of a crime. So the slavery still exists. That's a whole nother topic because they be doing all kinds of stuff in jails. And yeah, I want to have a whole show on prison reform. But like I said, to the topic, no one is forcing us.
Saying about prison reform. I'm talking about the actual shot. I'm talking about the actual shot they put in the. No, but
I'm saying they can do that. You know, I'm saying in general, they can do whatever they want to prisoners because prisoners are literally on paper constitutionally slaves. That's literally what prisoners are. You know what I mean?
Gotcha. So
I don't agree with it. I got people
too, but
yes, I don't agree. I got people in prison right now. I got
bottom line is this vaccine is way too early. You know what I mean? To be giving it to us. We just discovered what it was. We don't know the 5-year effect, 10-year effect of it. And let's say whatever the vaccine comes out. A lot of people like you, like J Love, whatever. Some of my viewers, you know, I don't hate you any less or dislike you or unfollow you or whatever. But if you want to take it, take it. My whole thing is they're going to make us. I sound crazy. Like I said, when I told them that we're going to be quarantined longer than 2 weeks. I don't want to go through that whole process again. But, you know, I told them about everything. Like we're going to have to get tested to go a certain place. We're going to have to get vaccinated. That's what's bugging me is like,
so let me
and
ask
Jay,
you this,
you think it's first world?
What's the worst case scenario to you about getting it though? Like, say you give in, and I grant it the 5-year, 10-year.
Okay,
not knowing
hold that thought. You're gonna answer this when we get back. We're gonna pay some bills real quick, and when we come back, you just tuned in. You're listening to the Revolution Radio Show. We talking about vaccinations, and the yes and no on it. I'm surprised how many people are no, but I mean, whatever it is, what it is.
And we'll talk about that when we come back, right? The results.
Yes. So we're gonna pay some bills real quick, and then we're gonna answer these questions. Definitely, if those of you peeping it online, we want to hear from you. I love hearing all your comments and responses because it's helpful.
Exotics Wellness. From massage oils to bath bombs, from drops to pain bombs, everything you need in Exotics CBD Wellness. Go to www.queenexotics, www.queenexotics.com. That's www.queenexotics.com or Queen Exotics on Instagram.
Do you have a business that requires heavily upon your clientele base having access to cash, like a dispensary or a barbershop? Or maybe you're in the market for one of the new cutting-edge Bitcoin ATMs or self-serve kiosks. Whatever your ATM needs, reach out to my man Guy, the ATM Guy, at 855-4ATM-GUY. That's 855-4ATM-GUY or online at www.atmguy.net.
Without even lifting a finger, achieve the body of your dreams. You're perfect the way that you are, but if you've been struggling to tone up and love your body, there's something that can help you get there. Put down the box of chocolates and pick up a wrap. No, not that kind. A wrap that you can wear. That's a Gym in a Box. The Core Wrap, the best body shaper anywhere. It features ultimate performance technology, Tone Up 15 to firm tone and strengthen your abs as it shapes your waist. That's Gym in a Box. Go to gyminabox.la to get yours now. That's gyminabox.la because you deserve your dream body.
Hey, you're tuning in. This is the Revolution Radio Show on 102.3 FM KCAA in the Inland Empire, worldwide, everywhere else at kcaaradio.com or on iHeartRadio. Just search for the Revolution Show. And so we're talking about vaccination. Should you get vaccinated? Should you not? We have a lot of comments coming. We got people from all over the country. You know, we need to use wisdom. We take drugs when we break a finger or back surgery or get hooked on them, but we scared about the shot. I thought faith over fear. We have another person right here saying, I work in the education field. In order for us to go to a school site or even pass out materials to students, we must be COVID tested weekly and fill out questionnaire. Vaccination is not required. I like having a choice.
Yes, that part. So I got some Instagram ones too. Shout out to Kamara, Every You Yoga. I like that you all are at least talking about it. I've seen couple O's. I've seen so many bad reactions to past vaccines that it's hard for me to get behind this new one at all. Look, I got shout out to my boy Rob. He told me his aunt's like best friend, like it's his aunt too, whatever. She got the vaccine and she developed palsy, balls. What's that palsy? Yes,
Palsy's a thing. Yeah,
she developed that. She got that, and I'm like, hold on. I just saw that online. I didn't know how
palsy or something. I don't remember.
Yeah, Bell palsy. Yeah, where their face starts like drooping and stuff. I've seen videos of that, and I was talking to him about it. I was like, I mean, like, and he told me about that. I was like, hold on, like. I didn't know there was that common because every time I would bring it up, people would argue that's like 2 people out of like hundreds of thousands. Like this is like my homeboy's aunt. Like it happened to her. Like she got her face that.
So
right.
I've heard 2 negative things on it. And J-Love, I'm actually curious if you've heard this. And if not, I would love to for all of us, one of us to do research on it. One, do you know what's actually in the vaccination? J-Love, have you heard?
Okay. So yes. Okay. And actually what I'd like to do at some point, I want to bring a doctor on to actually use the actual correct terms. Cause we got
to bring on somebody else. We need to bring, because of course the doctor's going to say, you guys get vaccinated.
No, a doctor to just say what's in it, not to.
What's in it? Yeah. Have you guys heard that from aborted baby cells?
Because here's the thing. No, I haven't heard about the aborted baby thing. Basically what the way it was explained to me is that basically that's wow. There was I did hear about that in the beginning when they did some testing. There was a test that existed for something else a long time ago that they correlated with this particular vaccination. It wasn't the same thing that they had used embryo stem cells.
Yes, it was stem cells from aborted babies. Yep.
Yeah, but that's not a part of the Pfizer or the Johnson Johnson or any of the.
Because I've heard it from about.
No, because I looked it up at the time. I looked it up at the time.
I gotta wait. I gotta check with Jay's facts. He talked about Tiger Woods barely had a scratch. He almost died and got his leg amputated. He talked about the divorce rates lessening during COVID. That was not a fact. It was like we had a double, triple check, Cherie. Come on, girl. You know this.
No,
so that's why I'm saying
when I'm interested in something, and that's what I'm saying. Here's the thing. I always want to have an educated conversation when we're talking about something serious. Like Tiger Woods, I don't care about. So like I wouldn't care to really, you know what I mean, do any research and really care. I just think it's funny he was it's not funny. People are gonna get mad at me that he was in an
Divorce rates.
accident.
We talked about divorce rates.
No,
Right,
and
but
with this, because it's so
but here's
serious,
what
I
I'm
really
saying
do
is
want to know the facts.
no, and here's what I'm saying. I think
Right.
if we really pay attention, we're really saying the same thing coming from a different perspective, right? Which is this: is I don't believe anyone should be forced either, right?
Okay.
In the same way that she knows people who personally have been affected negatively, let's say by the vaccination. I know, like literally, I know a dude that just passed away literally 4 or 5 days ago. Two people, matter of fact, in a 24-hour period that passed away from COVID. So what I'm saying is this, and now I'm like a triple risk because if I catch anything right now because of my immune system, my chances are very slim. So I think what we're saying is the same thing, but from two different sides of it is this. I don't believe people should be forced. And I think that you should use wisdom in what you put into your body, and you should be aware of different things. But the option should be available on both sides. I think that and because I've spent because I've spent a lot of times in hospitals lately, and I I asked a lot of the doctors and nurses because all of them have taken the vaccine. And really, if anybody knows, here's the truth: if anybody knows about this vaccine more than you or I, it's them, because they deal with both the virus and they deal with medicine and science, right? And so I like to defer to the experts when it comes to certain things. And so in talking to all of the doctors that I've been speaking to, all of the nurses, not on no propaganda, nothing, but just me alone in a room saying, hey, can I ask you a question? Right. Mm-hmm. And, they're all saying that, look, at the end of the day, the reason why they're taking the virus is because and I'm just boiling down a bunch of conversations into one and saying this, in their estimation, you're improving your chances of survival by having the virus. Because of their exposure, they would rather take improve their chances with the virus because they're so exposed so often. And I took that as, okay, for me, not for you, Meliana, or for Cherie or anyone else, but for me, I think that because of my risks of exposure and my risk with my health at this particular time, it makes sense, even though, yes, there might be things or whatever, but if I ever want to live a halfway normal life, I have to take that chance for me. Now, I understand if you don't want to take that chance for you, but for me, it's a safer bet because I can't continue to be locked up in a shell forever, you know what I mean, based on my particular situation. But I agree with you.
But the bottom line is, though, even for somebody healthy without conditions, anyone who's had COVID, I know people personally that are having ongoing issues, meaning they're having liver issues now. So when we talk about there's a risk either way. You get the virus, you're going to have long-term issues from what I'm understanding based on real stories from other people.
Correct.
And then there's well, what if I get the vaccination and have other issues? So to me, it's a lose-lose no matter what. The world we live in just sucks right now, and Jesus needs to take the wheel all the way around, right? Mm-hmm. Because there's cons on both ends the way I see it. And I quickly want to say on my Instagram, I was shocked. 65% of the people that voted and my following on Instagram said, give me the shot, sign me up. And 35% said, heck no. And I was positive it was going to be the other way around. So that shocked me. Do you guys want to talk about your results?
Yeah, mine was like 80% said they wouldn't. 70 or 80%. They wouldn't.
What about yours? J-Love?
I was shocked that mine was 76% would not take the vaccine, which is, and I'm like, okay, cool.
Look, and my thing is like, look, first of all, like, I'm sorry you were in the hospital. Like, that's what, for the people that just tuned in and just heard Jay's story, like I said that in the beginning, like this has no correlation. I'm not like, anybody that has underlying health issues, but to me, it's like, it's the narrative. It's crazy. It's the narrative. They created something. Now they have a solution for it that we're not even guaranteed it's a solution. Okay, first of all, for people out there that say, oh, I'm not going to get COVID, so let me get vaccinated. Side note, just because you get vaccinated doesn't mean you can't get COVID. You can still get COVID.
It means, what the vaccination, it doesn't mean you can't get COVID. The vaccination puts antibodies into your system that allows your system to fight COVID so that it won't be as bad and you have a better chance of surviving.
So they think.
Well, but here's the thing. Here's what we have, again, historically speaking. No,
It's way
maybe,
too soon.
but the science is different today. But here's the truth. Again, I said this to you before. We once used to deal with measles and mumps. We once used to deal with cholera. We once used to deal with chickenpox, polio. All these things came with vaccinations. You're only as healthy as you are because of what has happened in science and modern medicine over the last 100 years, and because people got vaccinated. That's the only reason why.
That's the only reason.
So in that statement, I agree with J Love, but I also see Melian's point with, in a way, it all seems very political, that all of a sudden this virus, this global pandemic has happened. Chickenpox didn't cause that. And then now all of a sudden there's a vaccination. So I 100%.
Well, no, because where did everything go? Deaths from like heart attack. Like, where did everything
there's
go?
still things going on. There's still because I would say, because we're running out of time. But I'll say this: if COVID isn't real,
that's why it needed a whole hour day. He was like, let me.
This needs to be part 1 of 2. J Love.
Yes,
maybe
we have people tuned in on our Instagram.
But here's the truth: if it's not COVID. Right? If it's not COVID, if this thing is just manufactured and whatever, then why is it that I know 4 people in the morgue right now who can't even get a time for burial because the morgues are so backed up? And I'm saying, fine, if it ain't COVID, then what the hell is killing people?
No,
because there's something out there.
I never said COVID's not real.
No. But for you to say it's manufactured, and then they manufacture a thing. I'm saying, look, this isn't the first pandemic in history. Not every, like, you know what I mean? We've had other pandemics, like maybe not in our lifetime like this, but this is not the first pandemic in history. So the truth is, look, 4 people right now in the morgue who they can't even get a time for burial because they're so backed up, because there's so many deaths. I don't know what the hell it is, and something is killing people. I don't know if it's secret.
You don't think
it's the chupacabra?
No. I don't stop it. I don't think Melian is saying that COVID's not killing people. I think she's saying, like, out of 100 deaths, 80 of those were probably COVID. And to her earlier statement, they're just labeling all for money factor, which we can all agree there's corruption in everything. What she's saying is there's a deeper, scarier thing with COVID all of a sudden rising, and it could potentially be man-made. And then all of a sudden there's a vaccination, which could potentially be backed by an agenda, is what I hear Melian saying.
I don't even doubt that could be a thing. All I'm saying is, here was the bottom line issue that, you know, we're like a few minutes out. Yeah, we got a few minutes. Here's the bottom line issue. As of today, nobody is forcing the vaccination on anyone. The day that they start forcing the vaccination, Melian, I will be the first one out there with you with a sign. You know what I mean?
You heard it, Melian.
Look, they're already starting to force people to, if you want to do certain things, and then your whole thing
that's not. But again, look, you have to look at it.
It's a choice. No, if I need to go to New York to see my dad or whatever, like I need to work or I get hired and I can't do something because I need to be vaccinated or.
Needs and wants are 2 different things. That's what I'm saying. As we have to understand that needs and wants are 2 different things. You might want very desperately to go see your father or to get that job or whatever, but you don't need to. Need is water.
Then question, Jayla.
What about when you get
is there a need to go to school? What about for kids needing to go to school? Do you think if they require children to get vaccinated like the rest of them to get to go to public school, is that a need or a want, based on your opinion?
And again, that's a choice that a parent has to make. No, that's a choice that a parent has to make, whether you want to homeschool your kids. You know what I mean? Or you want to go ahead and, because here's the thing, at the end, no one is forced. Again, let's say a job. If you own a business, you now take on the liability that everybody that comes through your business. You know what I mean? Like, once you understand that, it's a corporation. Corporations have to move differently. Corporations don't care about your feelings. Like, oh, you.
No, that I agree. Right. You have to. So you're signing up for the condition of the. But I'm saying public school is mandatory.
It's been part of the agenda. That's my whole argument. It's been part of the agenda. Like how they subtly, 2 weeks.
They already control us. Why you think TV programming is called programming? Because they programming everybody.
Right.
You know what I mean? Why the hell are the Kardashians famous? Because they want to dumb everybody down. Like, but listen, we run out of time. You know what? We're gonna follow this up tomorrow. Tune in tomorrow. We're gonna finish this conversation because we were gonna do something else, but we're gonna finish this tomorrow.
We got D battles tomorrow. We got D battles.
Oh, that's right. We got D battles
tomorrow.
Listen, we're gonna finish this next week. Yeah. We want to hear from y'all. We want to get hit us up on Instagram, hit us up on Facebook, hit us up everywhere. Thank you for tuning in. This is the Revolution Radio Show on 102.3 FM KCAA in the Inland Empire, worldwide on iHeartRadio. Thank you so much for tuning in. We appreciate y'all. We love y'all. Hey, pray for us and you pray for
say your slogan, your slogan.
Yo, reach for your
Stay
best,
dope, have fun.
reach for success, but most of all, reach for God, because God is love and love is everything. We out of here.
Oh my.